Joining us now is Royal Editor for the Daily Mirror, Russell Myers. Russell, some fresh news out from the palace today, an update on King Charles's health from the man himself. Tell us about it.
Well, hi, Cara. Yes, an update from King Charles, and a welcome one as well, I think, because we hadn't heard from him since his cancer diagnosis. Shockwaves all throughout the world, I think it's fair to say, after we heard that the King was suffering from cancer. But he's expressed his heartfelt thanks for all the messages, not only in the UK, but throughout the world, that people have been flooding in to give him their support, and saying that he'd been greatly encouraged to know that his openness as well in talking about his diagnosis has resulted in so many more people seeking out information to do with symptoms and signs of cancer, and also that his lifelong admiration for those suffering from cancer and people who are dealing with cancer patients every day, not only in the health service, but for charities and helping their families, had obviously greatly increased because of his diagnosis. So, as I said, a welcome update from the King today, and we certainly wish him all our best.
Absolutely. And Prince William and the Queen, look, they've also provided updates on the King this week during their various royal engagements. Everyone seems to be very much on the same page and doing their best, so to speak, to keep calm and carry on.
Well, it's the old adage, isn't it? And certainly straight out the late Queen's handbook of keeping calm, carrying on. And I think that they have to show a united front in this instance, because it's been quite a tumultuous few weeks. First of all, we had the Princess of Wales in hospital for an abdominal surgery. She was in hospital for a couple of weeks, taking an extended period of leave. Then the King was in hospital for a number of nights for an enlarged prostate. This secondary diagnosis, his cancer diagnosis, was picked up during that hospital stay. And I think, that's fair to say that really did sort of shock everybody into thinking, gosh, the slimmed down monarchy is looking rather threadbare at the moment. But it is definitely the senior royals, like the Queen, like the Prince of Wales, putting their best foot forward. And I think that we will start to see a bit of a calming over the next few weeks. Certainly, we're going to see Prince William back at work. The Queen is taking up more engagements. And William did say during a gala last week that the royal family really appreciated everyone's good wishes, all of the support for not only his wife, but his father as well. And like I said, I think it's very much about pulling together in this instance, not only for William, who's going to be taking on extra duties, but for Queen Camilla as well.
Now, we don't precisely yet know Charles's exact condition or the severity of that condition, but we know that for the time being, it is going to impact the ability of the royal family to carry out their role. So what's next for the family themselves, for the UK and for the broader Commonwealth?
Well, I suppose it's the great unknown, isn't it? I suppose for the family, as I said previously, it is about keeping calm, carrying on. No doubt the Queen is going to be taking on more duties. We've got Princess Anne. She's the old stalwart, the workhorse, if you will, the hardest working royal, always topping those polls. But Prince William is coming back to work. I mean, he's had his first couple of engagements last week. It is the kids' half term this week. They've decamped to Norfolk to be by the King's side, as well as sort of taking a bit of a break from being at home. But he is going to have a lot on his shoulders. So whether he's taking extra duties at home or abroad remains to be seen. We still don't know exactly how it's going to work out. But I do think it's going to be a bit more of a sharing of those main jobs. Who will we see at Commonwealth Day in March? Will the King and Queen's trip to Canada in May still go ahead? Will the royals get down under to see you guys as well? That's in October. There's an awful lot of unknown at the moment. And I think for the King, it's about rest, recuperation, and trying to recover as quickly as possible from his ailments. As for the Princess of Wales, and I suppose these big decisions will be made in due course.
Now, it's been reported this week that Prince William has hired a former diplomat to assist him with his workload. Now, what's the significance of that sort of hire?
Well, it is an interesting appointment. I mean, it's straight out the Foreign Office, a chap called Ian Patrick. He's got a great pedigree of working for the FCO. He's a former diplomat. He's a consultant. And I think that what this really speaks of for Prince William is more of a global role. We've seen him being very statesmanlike on the world stage, whether that's visiting the Middle East, whether that's undertaking big tours. I think this is very important and very strategic from William, because we see him again on the world stage talking about the Earthshot project, this environmental prize, which is so dear to him, this big 10-year project to try and sort of launch like the moonshot project from the JFK era to try and save the planet's biggest conundrum. So let's wait and see. I think that whether William sort of branches out and creates this more sort of brand for himself will be quite interesting over the next few years, and in his role as Prince of Wales and heir.
Now, in my editorial, I point to the fact that it's a little unusual for Harry to only have 45 minutes with the King as part of a 24-hour round trip from the States and London and back. What indication does that give you as to the relationship between Harry and his family? And is that an improvement in things, or does it still show those significant signs of strain?
Well, it's an interesting point, because you could look at it on either side of the coin, couldn't you? Because Harry flying over to the UK, 8,000 miles to only spend 25 hours in the country. You know, we're talking 45 minutes or 30 minutes with his father. It doesn't seem an awful long time at all. They hadn't come face to face for a good 16 months, because if you remember when Harry was over here for the coronation, he didn't spend any time with the King or the rest of the family. Again, very, very quick 24-hour trip in and out back to the US. However, it sort of half spoke to me about the seriousness of the King's condition, that Harry wanted to come over and be by his father's side, 30 minutes or not, 45 minutes or not. It's interesting that he took that action. However, you know, we understand that the relationships have been very, very fractured over the last couple of years. They still remain to be. There are an awful lot of ill feeling in the camp about whether people should be forgiving and forgetting Harry for writing the books, for doing the Oprah Winfrey interviews, for taking part in all these broadcasts. So whilst the King may be focusing on his rest, recuperation, his recovery from his cancer diagnosis, I think it'll be a very different ball game for other members of the family. So Harry might still be out in the wilderness a little bit, and I suppose time will tell.
And of course, I suppose the question mark is whether the visit between King Charles and Prince Harry stays as something that's private, or whether it becomes fodder for public consumption, commercialisation, as we've seen before. Do you think this time will be different?
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? Because, I mean, Harry has sort of run roughshod over his whole family. We're talking about his memoir. Nobody was, excuse the pun, spared from his barbs. And I think that was a big issue for the rest of the family, of whether they would sort of let him back into the camp, whether anything they say may be used against them in evidence in future interviews or books. I mean, Harry has said himself he had enough material to work on another book. Is that in the pipeline? It's definitely a real concern for other members of the family. However, I definitely think that this meeting between him and the King will remain sort of secret for now, because I think that Harry does want a new reconciliation, a new relationship with the King and the rest of the royal family. So yeah, I do think he'll keep it quiet.
Oh, let's hope so, because I think we're probably due, Russell. Now, in and amongst the current upheaval, like we discussed earlier, the rest of the royal family is still getting on with business. We understand that this year's Earthshot Prize is heading to South Africa. Tell us about that.
Well, what a fine city as well. And I followed the Earthshot Prize around the world, going to South Africa. Huge opportunities every single year to sort of expand this brand for Prince William, this big environmental prize project that he has created to try and change the world, essentially, try and sort of solve the big climate crisis issue of our time. And as I said, it's straight out the playbook from the John F. Kennedy era, the Moonshot project. He's created this Earthshot Prize to try and change the world for the better. So we're heading to South Africa. It should be in November. No confirmation, of course, of whether the Prince and Princess of Wales would be going. One would imagine if Princess Kate still can't travel, if she's still sort of laid up because of her illness by that time, it's still a long way away, but one would imagine William will still go. But no confirmation as yet, but plenty to look forward to later on in the year.
Russell Myers, as always, thank you so much for joining us.